Today we're going to be covering Aurora and Project Blue. As long as we play a Nimblism in a turn, we are able to give anything go again, so you could even give Snatch go again, and a whole bunch of other stuff. This will come up, but the main application is using it with Nimby. And then we have our Bracers, which is just going to add an extra +2. And in a format where Goliath Gauntlet was banned, having an extra +2 I think is very powerful for the deck. Old Knocker is a replacement of Blossom of Spring, and Blade Beckoner Helm is just because I couldn't find anything better else to run in that slot. This deck is almost entirely pitchless. We have a couple blues just for the sake of some turns, maybe setting up on turn 1. So there is a potential if you go first, you could play a lightning card, pitch a blue, and take care of that. But other than that, I really even think that maybe these 2 blue Heaven's Claws could end up being other red attacks. The only kicker is that you may want blue Nimblism with the Nimby package. But other than that, entirely pitchless deck. You are just going to play Nimblisms. Combo them with Nimby, go get another one, play in the same turn, and just do general Aurora things of just not blocking, playing out your entire hand, it all having go again, and you racing your opponent down from 20 as fast as possible. We have good 3 blocks though, so if you are forced in a situation where you do need to block, hopefully the deck can bail you out. For some reason, these are 0 for 4s with go again that have on hits that also block for 3. So I think that this package is actually incredibly powerful and probably juices the deck up a lot. You also still get to run cards like Skizik and Sizzle, and you still have access to incredibly powerful overrate cards like Snatch and getting to push them over with Lightning Press. And probably the most important thing here is the inclusion of Burn Up and Shock. This is a rare, so you do actually get to play it in this format, which is probably a good push for her power level. When we go to our inventory, it's kind of hard because the deck is so streamlined to doing one thing. There's kind of really nothing you would actually want to add. You really could actually just forego an inventory and just play this 40 and you'd probably do fine. But if you want to tech against some things, you can play Sigil of Suffering if you're playing into another aggro mirror and you are maybe forced to go on the play, so you're going to be tempo negative. If that happens and you're able to arsenal this going first and then block someone on your opponent's turn, and dealing 1 and blocking for 4, then you'll probably be able to catch up for some of the missed damage. And then other than that, we have 7 powers for Prism, I suppose, because I really couldn't think of anything else to include. You have Spell Void 1 just because your helmet is otherwise useless, but the rest of your equipment is actually needed for your game plan. And then we have Arcane Polarity against Wizards. So there's really not a whole lot going on here in terms of the sideboard. You really could display the main board however you'd want. But we'll get into some gameplay, that way you can see how this deck functions. So we're playing against Iyslander here. Unfortunately, the only problem with this deck is mainly the fact that if you are forced to go second and you don't have any Arcane Barrier, you do run the risk of just getting hit for a ton of Arcane, so I expect that to happen on this turn specifically. So it is kind of a liability. I'm hoping that our explosive output going second will get to make up for a lot of this. We're going to go ahead and eat all of it, but it doesn't actually look like it really benefits too much. We do go to 16 though, so leaking 6 on turn 1 is not ideal. I think we're going to have to pop off with our Nimblisms here. Our hand is actually kind of awkward, so I think we're just going to put the gas pedal on immediately. Unfortunately, the potential Frostbite from Iyslander will be a problem for this deck. We can pay for it this turn if we want. My plan was just to play Skizzix with the go again off the quick clicks, and then finishing up with Arcana Crackle. So if we just have 1 Frostbite, I actually don't think it's that big of an issue. We can just go ahead and pitch our Crackle, or we could even use the chess piece, but I think we can maybe wait another turn to use the chess piece potentially. Just because Crackle, both of them being in the same hand, these are basically like enders. So the fact that we drew both in the same hand is kind of tough, and I would prefer just to use the chess piece on a future turn where we want to convert everything. We're going to go ahead and use our boots here, and we might as well actually use the Bracers just because I don't know how fast this matchup is going to be and if we're going to get to draw another Nimblism by the time this game is over, so we might as well use it now. This does get all of the buffs, so I mean we're sending quite a bit of damage, and notably here her armor does not block. We do see that she can freeze a card in our arsenal, so we're probably going to plan to play off of arsenal. It seems like this is supposed to combo pretty well. So we are just going to play around this by just not putting things in there that are liable to get hit if we can. All right, so we're going to go ahead and leak 4 here. Pretty good for us. We'll send another 4. I'm assuming that she's just going to hold this last card to arsenal. But that means that we're probably in a pretty good spot because I expect us to be able to pressure a lot of damage here in the follow-up turn. We do have a way to bail out of our potentially 1 Frostbite, although this hand actually isn't terrible, although there are some pretty big issues here. We ideally would want some kind of way to get go again here. We can Starfall Lightning Press if they actually block with a cheap attack action card, but I don't think that's going to happen. And this is definitely a brick for sure. This is odd, but I think we're just going to play Snatch here and probably just make an embodiment and pass. I mean, this is pretty bad. If we were to lose the game, it might be in a position like this. We really needed something with Go Again here. This deck can be very explosive, but it can break, and especially in a format where you only have a couple turns to really sculpt something together, this can be a problem. It also does mean that anything that we put in our arsenal here is probably getting cleared on our opponent's turn, so the Skizzix probably does not get to live, which is definitely a problem, but there's really no way for us to play around this, unfortunately. We'll go ahead and at least make an embodiment here. We do get to push 2 over, so things could be worse, but it definitely could be better. This honestly is an overall all-around brick, pretty much. I mean, none of these cards have natural Go Again. I definitely think that we drew probably the rough portion of the deck first. The Nimbleisms are able to kind of sort themselves out, but once you get past that, it can be a problem. This hand plays perfectly fine, so we're at least happy with this. My assumption is that my opponent's going to crack all of the pieces and frost out our arsenal, which is going to suck for us, but really not much we can do here. We also get a Frostbite and an Ice Eternal. So 2 Frostbites and no blue here, that definitely sucks. We probably could have thought about maybe saving our blue in hand. It's kind of a hard call to make. I mean, it's a very specific card that I don't really know how much we could play around. If we play the Sizzle, they probably play another card to give us a Frostbite. We can maybe at least use Old Knocker here, and maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. I do kind of want to play the Skizzix if I can, but I think this makes the most sense to me. We're able to make them have to commit cards up front. They'll have to give 2 cards here, or else we potentially get even more things for our turn. The blue Arctic really does suck though. This plays around our chess piece really well, but they're not really dealing damage to us yet, so I'm not exactly concerned. Like, we have 13. We probably get to live. So we get a Rabble, we have 2 Frostbites. This definitely sucks, but we can attempt to pressure lethal, or we could pass back. I think both are viable here. If we do pop the chess piece, we're giving up any future tempo, because any future turn we're not going to get to bail ourselves out of a free resource to pay through a Frostbite. And this deck is pretty much pitchless. But if we do send 4 here, we are able to at least rip 1 card from them. And on their turn, they're probably going to Glacial Horns anyway. So I think we might as well send lethal when we can. There's a chance that they actually wanted to use this entire hand, maybe to pitch play something, leave an arsenal. They could even time skippers if they really want to. I guess my hope here is that they specifically wanted to keep all 4 cards and that this may rip something from them. But I mean, this is definitely a pretty awful turn for us. We had to pitch 4 cards. Like, if you think about the damage output here, we gave up probably 4 damage here, 3, probably 4 because we would have played this maybe with the embodiment. So I mean, we gave up like, what is that? That's 14 damage probably. Just having to pitch. So I mean, Icelander definitely can prey on this deck. We could have thought about actually using the chess piece to use the Starfall there. I just don't think we really need to. Our arsenal is safe. This hand is very explosive. We're able to play Burn Up, although I'm not exactly sure how useful it's going to be. Aether Hail is not a concern for us, so we're not going to bother. The main question though is, do we want to play the Burn Up, or do we want to use it as a resource for the turn? The hard part is that if they do have a way to give us 2 Frostbites this turn, then we get insanely punished. But if we do get to play the Burn Up, this thing basically being an on hit is really good. I'm going to lean towards just fusing and using this as a resource for the turn. I mean, this is very specific, but when you think about it, it's going to deal 1, they're going to go to 2. And then if they ever take 1 damage, they're going to lose the game. But the Burn Up is only technically dealing 2 damage here, right? So that's a theoretical 2 damage if it hits. So if we just swing Starfall, it's the exact same value. It's kind of weird to think about it that way, but I think in this spot, it's only worth 2 damage. It is arcane, so it is better. But I think I'm fine just using this for Starfall at the end of the turn if it seems like we can score the win if they have to block out from here. So they have to use floodgates. We're going to go ahead and pitch for Old Knocker. We're going to get ourselves a true resource here. We'll go ahead and play Static Discharge, and then Jack Be Quick is going to get to have Go Again here. It's going to come in for 7. So actually, I think we might mathematically have this game on lock. We'll have to see here. But they'll have to give 2 cards here, and then they'll go to 1, and then we send the Starfall at the end, so they lose. I thought we were behind basically the entire time. I guess we were able to put the offensive pressure on, and Icelander wasn't doing too much damage, so I guess it wasn't a huge concern. But that's the deck. This is a weird matchup because most matchups I don't think you're actually like ever pitching or really thinking about something like that. You can probably see how the hands would play though, especially towards the end. I think the deck was starting to actually really properly function. We think about like one of these like final hands where we had a pitch, unfortunately. It could have been like, Static Discharge, Sizzle, Skizzix with Go Again, play Rabble, play Snatch on the end of the turn. Like the deck kind of plays like Lightning Briar or, Aurora, since you're probably familiar with how she plays in CC. The only difference is that the Nimbleisms just let you have a really big power turn when you need to. So that's kind of the main difference. But I hope this is helpful. Until next time, thank you for watching.